Hi, Michelle. It's good to see you.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. Great to see all of you. Happy to get started whenever you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. And just want to first start with a warm congratulations to Matt and David on planning such a successful summit. I was able to read about it, and it sounds like it was phenomenal. So just congratulations on that. And for those who were able to come, I will pass it to Matt for some updates. I think today we're going to be doing a roundtable. So, Matt, the floor is yours.
That's right, Michelle. And good morning, everyone. Michelle Burris from the Century Foundation. It was cool. The summit. Andy Stettner was there. Michelle, formerly of the Century Foundation, one of our co-founders there with the Northeast Midwest Institute, and Michael Goff. So anyway, that was very cool. We'll get back to that. I would just want to say, like we do every week. Good morning, December 16th. This is AMCC's National 30-Minute Call, same time every non-holiday Monday, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain Time, and 8:30 Pacific. I'm Matt Bogosian, Executive Director of AMCC, the nation's manufacturing community of practice, which, thanks to you guys and so many others, has momentum in helping to turn the ship of state towards strengthening the manufacturing cornerstone of the American project. We saw that on Thursday and Friday at the summit that Michelle was talking about, and workshop. We're calling it a summit and workshop, which was good on so many fronts, like an in-person marker moment of sorts, where we talked about where we've been, over the course of the last 10 years, and where we want to go, improving our regional and national narratives, building better evidence-based collective impact strategies. So each of us and our organizations can take smarter collective impact actions that take advantage of all the incredible talent we have in this country. Just underscored when we were together on Thursday and Friday. We can do so much better to make smarter products that solve problems in key industries using increasingly better technologies that advance sustainable development. Yeah, so we've got starts and stops in this nation, but like all big things, it's the persistence and people committed to common cause who have relationships built on trust that make a difference. So this AMCC 30-minute call every week that's been happening for years and years and years is part of that cocktail of activities that can make a difference. You guys are super busy, super productive regional, public, private, nonprofit stakeholders. It's an important piece to do this consistently, ground truth our work and get more done than we otherwise would on our own. So as I say, every week we do these 2 weekly things, this call, and also the AMCC update newsletter that goes out at the end of each week to help us do that work virtually, so you can get back to your own set of activities. We also do the Manufacturing and American Century podcast, which usually drops every other week or so. So that's another virtual tactic. So we can have deeper conversations with many of you that I've interviewed and others that are doing this good hard work. We just dropped Nathan Oley's podcast interview from the International Economic Development Council, the IMCP veteran. So check out Nathan's. We have lots of pods that you can listen to. They're available on Spotify and whatever. Right before that, we had Jonathan Gruber, the co-author of Jumpstarting America from MIT, on. And so that was a really good take also, but many, many more. So that's kind of the virtual stuff. The in-person meetups are crucial too. And we need to do more to operationalize at least the 2 kinds that we've been working to operationalize. Is one, these co-created regional AMCC roadshow visits, where we share what we think has been happening, get feedback from regional leaders and public, private, nonprofit organizations. So it's a learning, feedback, ground truthing type in-person activity. And then now we've got the Manufacturing Momentum, National Summit and Workshop activity, which we could say is the 2nd year of that. And we want to keep that rolling. We can talk more about that later in this call. But like Michelle was saying, today is a roundtable call. And like we like to do up front, we want to ask people to quickly, a couple of people to quickly introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves, say why you came on this call or why you're participating, whatever, very quickly.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah,
just really
please.
quick, I just want to add to your message about our road shows. If anyone on this call is thinking about or wants to, um, consider setting up an AMCC roadshow in 2025, now is the perfect time to reach out to us. Just send Matt or I a brief email. We'll put together 30 minutes on the calendar, describe a little bit about how we put these things together, and you can go ahead from there, and we'll figure out if there's some time in 2025 where we can visit your region. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thank you, David. And folks, we want folks to jump in here, when and where it makes sense. So let's see.
Andrew's had
Oh
his
yeah,
hand raised.
cool. Andrew, yeah. Hey, Andrew, welcome.
Hey, I just wanted to, this is my shouting endorsement for this organization. We just got back from our American Made Challenge in Chicago for our Project Green Leap, which was born out of this group. I want to remind everybody that I attended one of these in February, heard about the American Made Challenge, applied, and oh my gosh, they said go for it. So for the last year, we've been benefiting from that insight and guidance and information. So everybody, it's a great organization. I try to get to it every Monday. And to your question, we would love to see roadshow out in the Inland Empire, Riverside County. Now that we've talked with everybody out there, their biggest thing is, hey, we brought the naval orange, we brought steel during the Second World War. We're ready to bring it here in Riverside County. Let us know. So I would love to connect you with all the folks who've been reminding us that they want more engagement. So yeah.
Awesome,
so thank
Andrew.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for chiming in.
Definitely.
Appreciate that. Other folks that want to quickly introduce or reintroduce. I see Bryant Street from IBAS on. You want to say hello, Bryant, and where you are in the ecosystem? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a moment to find my unmute button on Zoom instead of Teams. Yeah, Bryant Street, I work within OSD at the Pentagon. We're Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program, the IBAS program. And I got plugged into you. I think, Ed, you invited us, or I'm sorry, Matt invited us about maybe 6 weeks ago. And I haven't been able to join the last couple of weeks, but our particular sub-organization within IBAS, ICAM, is looking at workforce development. So I'm hoping that I can learn a little bit joining you guys as I can on Monday afternoons,
Yep.
Monday mornings. And so just appreciate the opportunity to listen. Thanks.
Yeah. And sounds great, Bryant. Good to see you. I remember we had a manufacturing community ecosystem metrics meeting down there in Alabama with folks from IBAS. That was really productive and nice segue, David. Why don't we talk a little bit before we continue the conversation about the manufacturing community ecosystem metrics project? Because here's homework for everyone. So we have the first version of this MCEM playbook that we want everybody to give us, feedback on. Actually, two things. One is, does this playbook make sense for your part of the ecosystem of, strengthening the manufacturing cornerstone in key industries? And if it doesn't, why? Right? Okay, so that's kind of your first task. And then the second one is who is doing this kind of complex system science playbook tool work, and can you connect us to them? I don't know, David, you want to describe a little bit more about this? So this work is honchoed with a lot of federal agencies and private nonprofit stakeholders, but we've kind of come to a really it's a marker moment of getting this initial playbook out. Go ahead, David. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And I'll put it into the chat for those who want to spend some time looking at it. This is really a first draft of a playbook that brings together all of the learnings that we've had as we've gone from region to region, describing the manufacturing community ecosystem metrics work, which is really looking at two things. One, how do you do a self-assessment, understanding your assets, your institutions, your firms in your region, and then also connecting that with publicly available data that gives you a benchmark as to how you're doing across a number of ecosystem components, your workforce system, your research and innovation system, your site infrastructure and site development and infrastructure. All these 6 buckets, we've put together some indicator metrics which you might want to look at to consider how you're evaluating how your region is doing over time. This is really a first edition that we're getting out, and we're looking for feedback, ways to make it stronger. We're also looking for other regions that want to test out this framework with us and implement it in their own way. We've had some awesome learnings from our stakeholders in Utah and in Alabama that have both taken sort of what we've proposed to them, and they've run with it in their own unique ways. But I'd really love to hear from anyone else what your take on this first edition is. We'll be upgrading it over time. And if you're trying to do something similar in your region, we'd love to learn from you and also help wherever we can.
Thanks, David. So questions about that. We had a great presentation, by the way, by some of the leaders of the developing this playbook. Nico Thomas at NIST, MEP National Headquarters, has been a fantastic co-convener of this group that meets every other week with many of the federal agencies represented, DOD, DOE, Department of Labor, etc. And but back to my ask, like, give us your take, like on what you might think is missing, but also there are so many stakeholders kind of in the ecosystem, and this group that we have has been trying to partner up with many so we don't recreate the wheel. This is an open source tool, right? We're not trying to own it. This is all of this public data that's out there in the public silos, but also just open source silos, is not put together in a way that regions can effectively self-assess the strength of their manufacturing ecosystem. And so we want to benefit from all of the other activities that are out there that have a similar commitment to bringing the best evidence to strengthen the correlation of their complex interventions to the outcomes that we're trying to produce. So so that's a big thing. This project's going to go on and on and on in many ways, and no one's trying to own it. This is an open source tool. That's the vision thing here. That anyone that, like, you don't have to pay to play, right? That's been a problem in terms of getting predictive analytics, right? It's like, oh well, yeah, if you hire these guys and do all of this stuff, then I see Kevin Ross on here from Accenture. Sorry, buddy, but I appreciate so many of our private stakeholders like Accenture, like Deloitte, who recognize the importance of open source metrics. And so thank you in advance for feedback on that. All right, let me stop on that. Happy to take any questions on that. We can talk about the Manufacturing Momentum Summit. I know many of you that are on this call were there in person. So you can give your reflections on the benefit of in-person convenings. Yeah, let's stop there. Let's see. David Heckman, I see you there, sir. You were there in person. Great, always to have DoD in the room. What was your reflection on the Momentum Summit? Yeah.
I think you're muted right now, David.
There it is. Sorry, I lost the window. For me, it was, I don't want to say it was a repeat but it was echoing the issues that we've been facing for so long, but as a single collective. So that was really nice to kind of hear that coming around. And the identification that we can do it better. And one of the terms that was used, I think, Matt, that was you right at the end of the second day, about discussion threads and having ongoing discussion threads, so that even in the lull between these annual summits or quarterly events that we may yet schedule, that there's a group that continues moving something forward. That way, when we meet annually, there's been progress.
Yeah, I love that, David. Thank you for calling that out. And we've seen this in different organizations. By having an annual gathering like this, hopefully that we'll have more folks sponsoring it and whatnot. Shout out to NIST this year for doing that, and DoD last year for doing that. But to David Heckman's point there, if this becomes a regular thing, then we can kind of benchmark where we are in terms of moving the collective project forward in 1 year, and then have subgroups to say, hey, I'm going to work on one part of the big six, right? To develop more progress in, let's say, workforce and training, for example, one of the big six areas between now and next year. So that's a strong model. So I'm excited about getting a new date on the calendar for next year's Manufacturing Momentum Summit, and let's whoever has resources that can sponsor. One like NIST came through this time, or David and others have talked about maybe having every year a different agency or group sponsor a summit. There's so many different federal agencies that have important manufacturing related equity in their mission that it totally makes sense to have multiple agencies sponsor this or rotate it around. We had a great panel of federal agencies speaking right to that point, you guys, and David's going to put out content about the summit. Why don't you say a little bit about that, David, and then I'll come back to talk about that federal agency panel.
Yeah, happy to, Matt. It's something I've been working on this morning, just getting all of the presentations and discussions up online for anyone who wasn't able to be there or to view it live, to be able to go and watch. So that'll be up on our website, I think, by the end of today, if not first thing tomorrow. And we'll have the link included in next week's update. You can go through and watch everything that was recorded on that Thursday.
Yeah, and so that one panel, I think we had 7 different federal agencies on the stage, but we didn't have enough room on the stage for more. We had more in the audience, but it was emblematic of the point that it just made, right? We need to get everyone that has an important intervention that lands into regions working together better, so that the regional leaders can weave those federal interventions in with state government interventions, in with private sector interventions that are happening in their region. It's not, as we all know, it's not the same everywhere. And we heard that, from our regional panel there earlier that day in the workshop. That was very beneficial. Petra Mitchell from Pittsburgh region led that, and we had many, Buckley Brinkman from Wisconsin was on that, and many other regional leaders. So so it's an important thread. These in-person things, like James Lee, I see you down there from Texas. The roadshow in-person thing matters, right? So that we can engage and really accelerate the pace of our progress as we're in this international transition. So the roadshows are important. The national Momentum Summit and workshop is important every year. Don Ufford, I want to call you out and say thanks again for your anchoring leadership from the NIST team. What were your impressions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Matt, and thanks to everybody for coming. I think just a couple of things. One, I would say I was certainly encouraged around discussion about regional collaboration methods. So encouragement and recognition of the cross-state collaboration. While from a federal perspective, we encourage that. Sometimes it's difficult to incentivize that. And just thinking through our programs, how do we continue to encourage and potentially incentivize that? Second thing under regional collaboration methods was tool development is important to help people understand and have an opportunity to benchmark their different collaborations and what people are doing. And I think that tool development, also extending it maybe more broadly to understanding global competition also. So while you can understand how well you're doing within the US ecosystem, we also need to recognize that other countries that are out there maybe have other ways to incentivize and encourage development. So how do we make sure we continue to understand what's happening there? I'm going to say cross-agency collaboration with regional and nonprofit partners, super duper important, like what we did here with AMCC, and hearing from some of those other collaborative partners. As I think Matt referenced, we had a number of federal agencies up there. One of the items of feedback that we got, I think, was, wow, got a lot of federal agencies and they have some complementary programs, but trying to figure out how we weave those together. And Matt and David did a great job of trying to encourage that discussion about how we weave them together. I think that's also more awareness for us on cross-agency collaboration to make sure that we're looking for those opportunities. I know some of you said, hey, hold on about calling out different participation from different groups. On the other hand, others said, hey, glad you called out. In our case, Manufacturing USA, glad you called them out. We're looking for ways to better engage with them. From a perspective of advanced Manufacturing USA, I think there's some nice discussion about how it can be a competitive advantage, both for global competition, creating good jobs, working together with infrastructure and ecosystems. So I'm glad we had some of that discussion, and we, from a Manufacturing USA perspective, can continue to look for how do we encourage that and how do we link up with your teams as we go forward. And last of all, I'll say the workforce opportunities that we talked about. One of them that somebody made a comment, that really resonated about, do we have an appreciation for sourcing? So as someone who's worked in manufacturing, worked in agriculture, and saw how those raw materials are worked in order to create something that customers and people might desire and help them or utilize them to help in their daily lives. I think that appreciation for, sourcing and where things come from is important. So thanks for bringing that up, along with awareness of manufacturing opportunities and talking about some of the good jobs, whether it was Georgia or Connecticut, or California or Michigan. There were just lots of good things that you're doing to raise awareness of those opportunities, to then encourage people for training and the post-training support that I think a number of you have provided and recognized, to make sure that we bring those people in there. When they do training, it can relate to a job and it can help them move ahead so that they're able to be significant members of their community. And that's where I'm going to close out to say the community aspect here was fantastic. I loved hearing that. I'll also say, my comment about how do we help in business decisions recognize the value of community, I think that is still important. I didn't hear, a solution going forward yet, but I think we'll all continue to work on that over time. And if any of you have any great ideas, feel free to send me a note. Thank you.
That's for sure. Wow. Well said, Don. That's perfect. Appreciate that input. And, so many, you talked about the Manufacturing USA Institute, 17 of them around key technologies, 2 more on deck, super important. Then we got national labs. We've talked a lot about at the summit, our partnership with the Argonne National Laboratory on the metrics work. I see Jack Kotowski from Lawrence Livermore Labs on the call right now, is another example of an important federal investment that we can, hey Jack, I don't know if you caught any of the summit. David's going to put it up, but whatever. I just want to underscore the importance of these federal interventions that are out there. That can you say a little bit about your take on that, Jack? Yeah.
I wasn't personally closely involved with it, but we have folks tracking. And yeah, I'm at Lawrence Livermore Lab in Livermore, California, and sit as the CHIPS Act point of contact for Lawrence Livermore. But we have a variety of Manufacturing USA engagements, and happy to continue to connect people to our lab and support.
I appreciate you being on these calls and the leadership of your group there. We have so many cool innovations that we just got to get out into the marketplace. So thank you. We just have a couple of minutes left, and I know a lot of people on this call were at the summit. Wanted to see if folks wanted to chime in, or any issue, bring up any issue. This is a roundtable call, so go ahead.
So Matt, I was not aware of the summit. If you can share with me or anybody who are interested, some summary or anything you can share, that would be.
Yeah, David reported out just a little bit ago that he's going to post some recordings of the panel sessions. So it'll also be in the AMCC update this week. Access to that. Buckley, you said learn a lot about that silos are not a bad thing. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Ben Linville Engler from Mass Tech Collaborative was there. He has ag roots and was telling us about all the benefits of silos. So we use the word silos all the time, talking about how we're disconnected. So that was funny. Other comments?
Hey, Matt, just one thing that I'd like to add real
Please.
quick here. A little bit on the calendar and a little bit on what to expect for the next couple of weeks. So next Monday will be December 23rd. We'll have a Monday call. I'm guessing a lot of people are starting to have their end of year travel, but we'll be there on the 23rd. We won't have a Monday call on the 30th. So the next one will be on January 6th. So we'll have the 23rd, then the 6th. You'll also see from me, you'll be receiving a new Monday call calendar invite. So your current invitation only goes through the end of December. And then you'll have a new one from me that'll go out that'll be for the year of 2025. I have about 500 people to get invited to that calendar invite. So something might go astray. If there's any issues, please reach out to me and I'll help make sure that it sets up right on your calendar. The other thing that I'd like to add is we'll be releasing a web page on our 2024 year in review. We've had some really fantastic activities throughout the year. I mean, this Monday call has had over 350 unique people, cumulative 2,000 hours of learning and collaboration between everyone here. We've had 20 Manufacturing and American Century podcast episodes. We visited 7 states on our road shows. We get an update out every single week. And we now have this first edition of our Manufacturing Community Ecosystem Metrics project. All of this is meant to help elevate all of our collective understandings of what each other is doing and what we can all be doing better together. So to that end, in this next update and going forward, we'll be asking for a little bit of feedback of things you'd like to see in 2025, topics you'd like us to cover, presentations you'd like us to look out for on Monday calls, and so on. So if you could give us some feedback on that, that would be really appreciated so we can continue this momentum in 2025. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, no, David, Rick Mullins, you put a note in there on any word on budget in Washington, D.C. Yeah, so we were lucky enough to have John Cardinal from Senator Schumer's office with us on Friday. He took a lot of time really complimenting everybody in this network for the work, the good hard work that's happened over the last 10 years. We have been close partners with key leaders around improving industrial policy in this country. The big message, you guys have made a huge difference. We all have made a huge difference in helping to get the CHIPS and Science Act out and so many other things. So we can talk about that next week in more detail. and some optimistic threads of my takeaway anyway from some of those comments about what's to come. It's going to be a work in progress for sure, as it always is. But folks are looking at what we're doing and taking lessons from it, and hopefully that continues to manifest itself in continuing investments in the good hard work that we're doing. So we're at the top of the hour. We keep this at 30 minutes because we know you're busy doing good things. So Michelle, why don't I turn it over to you to close it out, and we'll see folks next week. Yeah.
Will do. Well, congrats again, and we look forward to seeing everyone on next Monday. And if you'll be absent, we are wishing you a wonderful holiday break. So take care, everyone, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.